Yo, what's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new deck profile video. Today I'm bringing you guys my Swordsoul Tenyi deck profile that I took to a YCS Hartford VIP qualifier that was hosted at Millennium Games in Rochester, New York. I just got back from that event a couple hours ago, went with a bunch of friends, ended up getting third place, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to be going over my deck list and the tournament report, and talk about things that I feel are relevant to the tournament, things that might influence me to make changes in the deck going forward, and sort of problems that I experienced, or maybe things that problems that I didn't experience that I've had in the past. But yeah. And for those that don't know what a VIP qualifier is, basically it's a tournament you can go to, and if you win it, you get the first two rounds of the next YCS. In this case, it's Hartford, YCS Hartford. And you get the first two rounds as buys. And you get to play in the VIP section, which is pretty cool, right? That would definitely take a lot of stress off your day. Having the first two rounds is just wins for, literally free. And you can kind of just hang out, right? I definitely wouldn't mind that. But my mindset going into this tournament was, I need to get this VIP status. I need to get it. I'm just going in as it's just practice, right? Kind of a dry run for the YCS. And I'm glad I looked at it that way, because it just kind of makes things like a little less stressful. Just there to play some cards, just to practice, learn some interactions, and hopefully learn something about your deck, right, and get better. That's all you can really hope for at the end of the day. And today definitely went very well. I went 5-1. We did 6 rounds of Swiss. There was no top cut, which was kind of whack. Really wish there would have been a top cut. But 5-1 in the 6 rounds of Swiss, ended up getting third place. And interesting enough, Swordsoul got first, second, and third. And shout out to my friend Colin for winning the whole thing, going 6-0. And speaking of shout outs, I want to give some shout outs really quickly before we get into the profile. Shout outs to my friend Colin, my friend Adam, Alex, John, Dan, the entire Buffalo Yu-Gi-Oh group, right? Dalen, Sheen, Joe, Johnny, everybody, right? Even if I'm not mentioning your name, Phil, everybody that was there. Just shout outs to the Buffalo group. Shout outs to Imperium Duelist, rocking their deck box still, rocking their dice, rocking their sleeves, rocking the sleeves on my Field Center, my token, one of my tokens, I guess. So huge shout outs to Imperium Duelist. And shout outs to Heart of the Game, my locals in Buffalo, New York. And yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get into this spicy little deck profile here. So, and you guys also probably notice I'm filming this in a bit of a different way, just because I feel like it makes things a little easier. But yeah, for the monsters here, we have to start 2 copies of the Ecclesia, Swordsoul Ecclesia. Then we have 3 copies of Moyi, and then 3 copies of Swordsoul of Longyun, Swordsoul Strategist, and then 2 copies of Taya. I think this is like basically the standard. Some people do like this ratio, and some people do like this ratio, where it's like this is like the max you want to do. I personally can't get behind 1 Taya, especially with playing Desires. Like, you're gonna banish your Taya at least 1 a lot, and then you have a pretty good chance at banishing 2. And this card is really important because it allows you to make really strong pushes with Boxia, because it's a wind, and you get the wind attribute and the water attribute from the token. Not to mention, this card does things that Moyi can't. Specific interactions with like Blackout, where this banishes his cost. Like, they could literally Veiler. Not saying this is something that you should do or happens a lot, but they could literally Veiler or Imperm or negate your Taya in whatever way, shape, or form. There could be a skill drain on field. If you have Blackout engraved, you can activate Taya, banish the Blackout, Blackout effect, summon token, Synchro 8, right? Very, very versatile card, and I think it serves a very important role in the deck. Yes, can you play the deck with 1? Yes, but I am not that brave to do that. The Ecclesia, on the other hand, this is something that one of my testing partners, Adam, and I have been back and forth on. I've seen a lot of lists from recent YCS, like Guadalajara and Bogota. A lot of different people on different ratios of this card. But this card, one of the main things is like seeing Moyi Ecclesia is like really rough. Just because if you go Ecclesia into Moyi, Moyi reveal Moyi, if that play gets stopped, like one of the biggest counter arguments is right, then your other Moe in hand really isn't follow up because you don't have anything to reveal. Whereas if it's Moe Taie, right, your Taie is follow up for next turn if that play gets stopped. And it really didn't brick me. Like I didn't brick. I think I bricked one time and I still won. And I'll talk about that later. So yeah, I love these ratios. I don't think going forward I'll probably change them. I didn't miss the third Ecclesia. And yeah, like there's been a lot of times where I draw 2 of this card and I just hate it. Like, yes, it's a good card. Yes, it's like engine and going second card. But like, it's not one of the best going second cards you could have, right? I'd actually rather just like have a hand trap. So yeah, that's it for the Swordsoul monsters. And then for the rest of the Swordsoul cards, it's just 3 emergence and the 1 blackout. I tested out Summit a little bit. I know my other friend that played Swordsoul there was playing Summit. And I just like the card's really good, but like I feel like it rarely comes up. A lot of times you want to search the blackout. The only thing I like about Peak or Summit is that it can like help you play around Nib or play through Nib. But other than that, like I would just rather be again a going second card, like a hand trap or something. And don't have the space for it either, I guess, since I'm trying to play a 40 card list and there's no desk spot either. So yeah, those are all the Swordsoul cards in the main deck. Now we'll go to the Tenyi stuff, which is like the best, like almost even better than the Swordsoul cards sometimes. We have the 3 Ashina, the 3 Adara. Also, shoutouts to Ghosts in the Past 2 for after I opened 4 displays of these, only giving me 1 Ashina. Really love that for me. And then I played the 2 Vishuddha and the 1 Shathana, so just the 9 Tenyis. Shathana's like, this card always overperforms. I don't really see a reason not to play it. Like, yeah, you could say this is a brick, but like, this is a pretty damn good brick. Like, this card just going into a board, spec it, link into Monk crash into something, and then you're either going to burn a negate or you're just going to get a free pop. And then you get your Monk back on board to make more plays. So, like, if you just open these 2 cards together going second, just like Vishuddha, Shathana, like, that's a lot of board breaking potential. Not to mention, like, hands where you get, like, if you get debarriered, like, having, like, access to Shathana and Shaman with Monks just lets you, like, blow up your opponent's whole field, which is really cool. And especially since you're under debarrier, right? It's like an interaction that can come up a lot. And also, not to mention, these cards help you play through Token Collector too, play around Token Collector, play through Nibiru, right? So, and I have Ultra Ashinas on the way, so don't worry. So we have next 2 Vessel and 2 Dragon Circle. The beautiful new Ultras from Ghost in the Past. I actually did manage to pull 2 of those in 4 displays, by the way. But either way, yeah. Vessel is definitely a card that can brick. I think in One Deck 1 Month I've talked about, or will be talking about, how I made a change from playing 3 of this mandatory to only going down to 2, just because like this card is only good if you see another Tenyi card with it. So like, I never wanted to be in a situation where I would draw multiple of these and no Tenyis. I wanted to make sure like I'd have Tenyis first, like, you know, hence the big Tenyi lineup, and then, you know, see this sometimes, but not all the times, right? I guess that makes sense. And then 2 Dragon Circle. This card is really good. Lets you play through Collector, lets you play through Ash, Veiler, can help you even play through Ogre sometimes too. And also, a lot of people might forget this, as this is an out to Mystic Mine game 1, which is like huge. It's like, it's so important having out to Mystic Mine game 1, because like there were a few situations where my opponent mined me and I was like, okay, bet, like I'll sit and wait this out. Like, I'll just keep drawing hand traps and stuff and like other extenders, and eventually, because they're not thinking about this necessarily as an out, most people I would guarantee, and then I'm just gonna like, even if I have like 2 synchros on board like I normally end on, like a level 8 and a level 10, I'll just like tribute both of them for a Tenyi, and then I could link that into a Monk and then just tribute it off, right? Or just tribute off the Tenyi, and then I have no monsters on my field, and then the mine dies in the end phase. So, but yeah, this is also inspired by the 3rd place list from Guadalajara, was also on 2-2. And I think like I didn't brick on these at all. Like, these cards are very good. I think 2-2 right now is seeming very good. And then one Call by the Grave. Shout outs to Brian from Crush Cards. This is my only loss. He asked me who plays Call by the Grave and Swordsoul, and to answer your question again, I do, and so does every other Swordsoul player as well. So don't really know why that comes to a shocker, or comes as a shocker to anybody, but it is what it is. And then the One Desire is the God card, the ulti. This card I drew all 3 games in my round 5 matchup, which was really good luck. And then the hand traps we have here are our 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Ghost Bell, 3 DD Crow, and 2 copies of Effect Veiler to round out the hand trap lineup. So not much explanation here, just Ash is super generic, hits like a ton of things: Red Eyes Fusion, Destiny Fusion, Branded Fusion, everything Fusion, right? It's just such a good card. Bell and Crow in here for the Despia matchup, which I only played Despia 1 time, and never really got in the situation where I even needed these cards, but they were there just in case. And also good for the Eldritch deck, which I also didn't play against, but there was some Eldritch in the room, so could have been a possibility. And not to mention, these are also just good against like other decks like Prank Kids, Sky Striker, Invoke Shaddoll, right, which are other decks I played against, and Tri Brigade variants too. And then the Effect Veiler, this was either last minute going to be one Veiler, 1 Ogre for Brave stuff, and then like having like different options to search off of Chao Feng. But I went for the double Veiler just because like I wanted to be able to use this card as a way to help play through Token Collector since I'm not playing E-Tele. So the theory was that if I would start Long Yun games 2 and 3 if I can help it, just to try to play around Collector, because it's a body you get on field without using the normal summon, obviously, and it's level 6, so you can just normal the Effect Veiler and then synchro into Yazi, and then Yazi target itself and target the Collector and just out it. So I like that. And then you can like make a Kachenyi later if they have other cards on field, and banish it, which is really strong too. And not to mention another thing that comes up too with like Ash and Bell being level 3 tuners, you can do the same thing with Long Yun. And this also came up today too, where I had normal hand trap with Long Yun and make Chao Feng, and then battle phase Chao Feng attack the Token Collector, summon Adhara, link for Monk, and then Adhara add back like a Vishuddha or a Shathana or anything else, right? Yeah, because they would Collector me on the Long Yun, and then I'd kill the Collector and then be engraved, and they already used the effect to summon it that turn, so they couldn't bring it back out, and then it would just be game. So yeah, that was it for the extra deck. Now we'll go into, or the main deck, now we'll go into the extra deck. And shout out Phantoms in my Discord for making these tokens. I use them all the time. Also, shout out Yui for the dope Field Center, and also Watt Woodpecker, my favorite card in the game. Yeah, those are the tokens. I mean, I didn't use this as a token. I just like put it under my Field Center as like a good luck charm, I guess. But yeah, for the extra deck, we have 3 Monk. Since we're not playing Halq, we have a lot more room, and the 3rd Monk definitely does come up. And then the Shaman, like, these cards are crazy. Like, they're just really, really good. Yazi, Double Boxia. The second one did come up quite a bit, just because, like, I'd go for the Chao Feng play, and then I'd need another one on the next turn. I guess it came up one time, the second one, but, like, I just always like having it there as, like, a security policy. Double Shishao. This card's really, really, really good. Not much else to say. Dragite, Draco Berserker. I never summoned this Dragite, but in theory, it's just, you know, good against the branded decks and Eldritch decks. It's also like a reoccurring interruption every turn, unlike Baron. And then the Chao Feng. This card is crazy. The Chao Funky. Love this card. I know some people like have thought about cutting it, but like this card is just so good. Like, it's a floodgate that can also just be an extender by summoning things from deck, and then you can just like summon an Adhara out of Collector and make a Chenying, and then normal Atai out the Collector permanently, and then make a level 8, like make a Dragite. It's like really, really good. And then if you black it out, you just get a free hand trap or an Ecclesia, which I never blacked out the Chao Feng today because like the game ended like shortly after I summoned it and didn't need to do that, but in theory it's there for that. And then the 3 level 10s, Chenying, who's still hitting, Qi Sheng Long Yun, and the Baron de Fleur, the Bloomin' Baronin. Summon this a lot, summon this a lot. I actually never summoned this card. Now, that's not to say because this card isn't good. This card is incredible. I think it's literally like the best card in the extra deck as a like just in general. My round 3 matchup, I misplayed pretty heavily, and I should have summoned this instead of the Baron, but my brain just turned off, I guess, and then, yeah, I made a mistake. Just summon this, just especially against like Brave decks, and when you have Rivalry too, just summon that, not Baron. And then the side deck here, we just had 3 Droll, respecting the Drytron and Flaunderies matchups and any other Rogue matchups as well. I played 1 Godarla, Mystery Dust Kaiju, mainly because I wanted an out for the Arrival Cyber Sky, because this deck auto loses to it. It literally does not have a way to out it unless you have like a Chen Ying with like a Desires and already a ton of banish cards. It helps with Ruddy Rose, but like I'm not playing Ruddy Rose because I just don't think it's that good right now. But yeah, this outs that. This outs the Crooked Cook. This is good against Sky Striker. Beats Appaloosa. Beats Winda. Does a lot of really good things, so that's why I liked it. And it came up one time against Striker, and it was really good when it did. Allowed me to push for game. 3 anti-magic arrows. So yeah, shout out to Christian Urena for this. And I know Walter Jewell was playing the Night Beams, which I did test Night Beams for quite a bit. But I ended up liking anti-magic arrow just a little bit better because like the Night Beam felt a little underwhelming against everything else that wasn't Despia. And like I'm already maining Bell and Crow for Despia. And like I wanted something that was like good against Despia, but also good against like pretty much every other form of back row deck, like Striker, Eldritch, anybody that's like citing D-Barrier games 2 or 3. Like this just outs all of those cards. And then you just spin everything back in theory with Boxia. Like I never drew the card. I cited this card a lot. Never drew it. Never resolved it. Still waiting to resolve it actually as I'm recording this, but in theory it's very strong. Double Twin, Red Reboot, God cards, and then 3 anti-spell fragments. Shout out to Dalen for hooking me up with the secrets, and then 2 Rivalry of the Warlords because I'm an absolute warlord. Alright, so really quickly, I want to go over the tournament report. Like I said earlier, it was 6 rounds of Swiss, went 5-1. Getting right into it, round 1 I played against Live Twin, which was Brian from Crush Cards. My only loss in the day, I lost the match 1-2, lost die roll. He went first, did full combo, ended on Lingerebo, Trouble Sunny. Was able to out it entirely. I think he had a hand trap or 2. If I remember correctly, I don't know. Memory's kind of foggy because kind of tired right now. I'm filming this a little bit later than I probably should be. But, you know, I digress. But I was able to break the board with Tenyi's, call by for the Trouble Sunny, and then Chao Fang to kind of wrap it up with Blackout and Chi Zhao. Game 2 had D-Barrier, and I probably could have played through it better, but I'm just not, like, used to getting a lot of value out of the Tenyi engine and, like, Shaman and Monk in those scenarios, and that's something I'm going to try to, like, work on going forward, because D-Barrier is going to be a card that's probably going to get flipped on me a lot playing this deck, and being able to adapt underneath it's very important. I just don't think I adapted very well there. And then game 3 he bricked, and I opened up pretty solid, but he had Collector, and I just didn't see Tenyi's or Circle or Vessel, like cards that would have let me just completely out the Collector, but it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! And it is what it is. But good match. Was cool to play against him. And I think that's the first time I ever played against him. But I'll get him on the rematch for sure. Yeah, so that was the round 1. Round 2 I played against another friend from my locals. He was on Brave Destiny Branded. Kind of a weird match. I don't think he opened up super well. Game 1, I think he literally like set one and like normaled Celestial. Or no, I think he Lancia'd me. It stopped me pretty dead in my tracks, so I was not expecting the main deck Lancia. And then next turn he normaled Celestial, because I think I just had Adara or Monk Blackout, because I was going to use Ashina, but he had Lancia. And then normal Celestial, run over the Monk. And then I think I just kill him the next turn that he doesn't have anything. Game 2, I lose because I fumbled the bag. I open up Rivalry, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I made Baron when I should have made Qixing, because the problem there was when I flipped my own Rivalry, I'm like, oh, Baron's not a worm. He's a warrior. So I had to send it off, and he was able to get to Draco back later, which Qixing deals with like perfectly. And he was able to out the Rivalry and do full branded combo. And then game 3, I think he had a D barrier for me or so, but it was like a turn or two late. I could have ended the game much earlier, because he said he misplayed after that, but I definitely, like, all things considered, if I had played that properly, he could have ended the game earlier. But I forgot about Shaman's effect, where that when an attack is declared involving a face-up non-effect, I can target a card my opponent controls, destroy it. I could have used that to clear the only monster he had on his field, redeclare since monster count changed, and get in enough damage I needed to get in, because I had Chijiao, Mo Yi, double Monk, or Monk Shaman. Yeah, it was Monk Shaman, Chijiao, Mo Yi, Tai with a token that I couldn't synchro into because he debarriered. And had I remember that effect, it would have been game right there. Round 3, I played against Dark Magician, interestingly enough. We have a Dark Magician player, our locals here in Buffalo, and his we call him Mark Magician, so thanks to him. Had the knowledge in the matchup, but, you know, obviously, jokes aside, it was easy 2-0. I think game 2, I had Ash for Red Ice Fusion, and then Baron for the second Red Ice Fusion, and that was just it. Round 4, I played against my friend Dalen, aka the DB Lurker, on the Tri-Luna deck. Game 1, I'm pretty sure he bricked, and then cleaned it up from there. Game 2, I opened very weird and had like double DD Crow, and I had to try to keep him off his Tri-Brigade plays as much as I could, because like he started Foolish, dump Kit, dump Nerval, normal Fractal, and I'm like, okay, if I don't DD Crow right now, I don't think I'm going to get value out of it in the combo. So I just DD Crowed one. That put him on having like a Crass Extender, and he did have Crass pitch Chick, Lunalite Kaleidochick. I crowed the Kaleidochick, and then he just made DPE. And then my hand wasn't good enough to like push into the DP, and he had Nibiru too. And then DP on Crackback with Celestial Dasher. And I did make a misplay there. It's coming back to me now. I had the opportunity to Vishuda bounce his Nibiru back to his hand, but I didn't because I wanted to hold it for my next turn. But in hindsight, I should have realized the fact that had I given him the Nibiru back, he probably wouldn't have had a way to get it out of his hand, which means he wasn't resolving Celestial Dasher that turn, which I think is what gave him the necessary cards he needed to push. And then game 3, he did not open up super well either. Like, he had double Collector, but Chao Fang was able to come out after I spec Longyun. He Collector, normal Ash, make Chao Fang attack Collector, summon Adara, do full combo, and win. It was a good match. Always a pleasure playing him. And then round 5, I played against Striker, Para, if you've seen him on Crush Card's channel. You've also seen him on our channel recently, as he's him and some other people from Rochester have come out to our locals, which is cool, to get some testing in. Yeah, we had a really good match. Always like playing against him. It's cool because he's like probably like the only Striker player I've ever seen that like doesn't play DPE outside of maybe one other person. Very, very good Striker player. And game 1, I opened Longyun, Adara, 3 hand traps, ashed his engage, and then just lost in the grind because I just did not have enough engine going. Game 2 was able to win. I can't remember game 2 very well, but I took game 2, and then game 3, I was just able to end on like Baron and some more hand traps. Because game 2, I let him go first. And just like he ended on Lady Shizuku set 1 pass, and I was just able to like crack his board very easily. Game 3, it got to the point where I had Baron, Chijiao set circle, he goes evenly. I go chain circle tribute Chijiao, just so I don't have to lose an unnecessary card. And then he chains droplet, sends evenly, hits the Baron, and then he mines me. And then a couple turns pass until I see an anti-spell, set anti-spell. Next turn, I think he outed his own mind because he probably thought like I might have had Blackout or something. I'm not entirely sure what, like, or I had like a set Cosmic or something to out it, or a twin. So he outed his own mine, which makes sense because I did have it out in the main deck in the form of a circle. Because I just like normal summon a Longyun over the Baron, tribute it for circle, get a search, and have follow up, and also make it so there's no monsters on the field. Yeah, I flip up anti-spell after he plays Area 0, and then he has to make an Ningirsu. Also, Godarla came up and clutched that match because I kaiju'd over his Shizuku the one turn and made a big push. And then What happened after that? Oh yeah, he made Ningirsu out the anti-spell, and then he goes Pot of Avarice, target 5 links, I bell it, and that's the handshake right there. Round 6 I played against Henry, aka Halq, another friend from locals, and he was playing Shaddoll Invoked. You guys have seen him on the channel before as well. And that was a 2-0 win. Game 1 he kind of misplayed. He could have gone for Anaconda, but just... Or no, he did make Anaconda, and he just didn't use it. But it didn't matter because I had Valor for it anyways. My opening hand was, like, horrible. It was Adara, Double Bell, Crow, Valor, top deck Shithana, but it was able just to work. Because, like, later on he, like, had a push with Maximus, Knight, Ecclesia, and... Winda, I Valored the Winda. He played right into the Shithana and was able to come back, and then I top decked Emergence for a game, basically. And then game 2, he bricked, Valored his Maximus, and killed him on the crackback. Just that easy. I did not brick that game. So that was the turn report. Went 5-1. And, yeah, had a super fun time. Again, a huge shout out to all my friends that helped me test. And looking forward to going to YCS Hartford. And shout out to my friend Colin again for winning the whole thing. So... You guys will be seeing his profile soon because he played the Despot variant. I didn't, so I want to show you guys his take on the deck since he also helped me a lot with this deck too. But yeah, if you guys want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up at the bottom of the screen right now. And as always, WinterKill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members who are Tweeter0226, Pony Start, Cadillacs84, Keith Sidgers, Justin Lamb, Master of Aza, and HDH Cyber. Thank you guys so much for your extremely kind and generous support of the channel.